grace and peace. Welcome to another episode of the TBT Show. I'm Anthony Moten. My friend and brother and partner in crime, as always, is the Right Reverend Elder Sean P. Aguilar. Sean, how are you?
Man, better than I deserve.
All right, we back to better than I deserve. This is what, 20? Episode 20?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Look
at that.
Yeah, it's going by.
18 with 19, this is number 20.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. We're mess around. We're going to get to a ridiculousness kind of numbers.
Mm-hmm.
Man, thank you guys for joining us as always, and thank you for helping us get this far in our little journey.
Mm-hmm.
We had some other things that was going on that we were going to throw out today, and then I couldn't get by. I couldn't get by this, and I've been trying. Like, I've really been trying to get by it.
Mm-hmm.
But I won't even say his name. I've convinced myself not even to
he who shall not be named.
Mention his name anymore.
Wow. That's tough.
But this little billionaire born and raised in Chicago, who used to be married to Kim.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all know who it is. He's doing this thing for his new brand of clothes that he has coming out. And him and Candace Owens wear shirts that have White Lives Matter on the shirt. And it wasn't just about, now the clothes were bad enough. Because again, we were, from my generation and even beyond, well, all of us know in our culture, that statement need not be made. White lives matter. They've always mattered. There's never been a time where they didn't matter. And the only emphasis behind Black Lives Matter was to give some significance to the value of Black life, just like there is value in white life.
Mm-hmm.
So even to have on that shirt, to me, was, again, I won't say his name, was irritated me.
Mm-hmm.
But even beyond the clothes, it was the commentary.
Mm-hmm.
So he spews out a lot of things. And listen, and so here's my question. I just asked it on Facebook and on my Snap too. Does racism hit different when the racist is Black?
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, it's kind of like Dave Chappelle explored this in a skit.
And that was different. Are you talking about
Clayton Bigsby, the black white supremacist?
Yeah.
And so there's a sense of betrayal. It's almost like for the opposition, for whoever that may be, you kind of expect that someone that is other than you in whatever respect, in this case, we're talking about racial otherness. You expect that to happen. You hope it doesn't.
Right.
But if it does, it's kind of like, I understand. I mean, you don't like me, whatever the case may be, for whatever reason, because of this one aspect of my identity, because of my skin color, because of where I was born, in terms of nationality or whatever the case may be. So I think it does hit different just because there's a level of betrayal. You don't have the betrayal if someone that's a different ethnicity, you have disappointment.
Right.
You have frustration, anger, but you're not, you don't feel like you've been betrayed.
See, and I guess for me, and much like Clayton Bigsby, you have to be blind to try to be a part of something that you don't fit.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that boy from Chicago, I will refuse to say his name, is blind. He came up in Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
And, much like any other African-American family, even when you're on the top end of middle class, there's still some struggle.
Mm-hmm.
Both his mom and his dad were Black Panthers. Mm-hmm. Bro, what you doing?
Right.
Like,
well, he's got a real, and in his interview with Tucker Carlson, he talked about how his dad was very conservative, and he referenced his dad being a educated man and there was a Black Panther. He says mom was an actress, and so she was more liberal. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
And so his mom took him to Chicago and stipulated basically to his father, don't come look for us. This is Kanye's words. Don't come look for us, because if you come around, you never see your son again. You know, type of deal. So leave us alone, leave us be. Later in life, he asked his dad, hey, how come you never came around? Hey, well, your mama, basically. Your mom said such and such. So he obviously loves his mom, rebuilding a relationship with his dad, loves his dad. But there's this dichotomy. Does that make sense? Because the world he's in is very liberal. Music, fashion, these type of things. But he also has these conservative ideas.
So you're equating his action to conservative ideas?
No, I'm not equating them. I'm saying that
that's where it comes from.
That's where it comes from. He has this dichotomy. Does that make sense? And since he also thinks that he's like a modern day prophet, he does lean into the conservative camp. You know, if we got to break it down into camps,
right?
You know, because again, he fancies himself an evangelist. You know, so he's on Fox News.
Oh,
Tucker Carlson's interviewing him in a friendly fashion.
Right.
He's conservative.
Oh, okay, but I don't believe Tucker Carlson will wear a shirt that said "White Lives Matter." To me,
no, because he's white, and he knows that would play into the cards of his opponents. They would say, "Hey, look, white nationalists."
And
only a Black person could get away with this,
and not even get away with it because you stuck your black arms in a shirt with "White Lives Matter" on it. See, I guess so. Here's my frustration with Kanye.
Mm-hmm.
You are who you are because of Black people.
Correct.
You're the turtle on the fence post. Mm-hmm. That know, Black people open doors for you.
Mm-hmm.
When he was a preppy kid, whatever, the polos, whatever, and Black people opened doors for him.
Mm-hmm.
Introduced him to Jay-Z and the likes, and the struggle of music, but open doors. Like, you didn't get to where you are by yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And these type of actions spit on the effort of every Black person that did anything to or for you.
Mm-hmm.
Like to me, and I get it, and I've heard people say it's publicity stuff, and he goes into other details, and we'll talk about some of the commentary.
He got a lot of free media.
And it could be, but at what cost? Because at this point, bro, I'm not saying your name no more.
Bro, at zero cost. That's the thing.
It did cost him.
Nothing. Net zero. Let me explain. While everybody else is thinking in black and white, Kanye is thinking in green. Shades of green. Very simple. Do you know how expensive it is to get you know how much it costs to get prime time ad space during Tucker Carlson's show on Fox News? And then plus on top of that, you get everybody that's going to cover that. Candace Owens is going to cover it on her YouTube channel and her podcast.
Another clown that we need not say her name again.
So then everybody that's going to cover, I'm pretty sure, Neighborhood Talk, Shade Room, Newsweek, MSNBC, everybody positive or negative is going to give airtime.
Right.
That's the point.
And I get it. But we do live in cancel culture. No Black person should ever give their hard-earned money to anything that will benefit that clown.
I'm not disagreeing with that. What I'm telling you is we're talking about motivation, right? We're talking about motivation. Why would he do such a thing? And I'm telling you, isn't it convenient Isn't it convenient that all of us, that just like that, he does this fashion show, he does something controversial, and I've said this before, in professional wrestling, in the words of Eric Bischoff, controversy creates cash. Very simple. Because whether somebody loves me or hates me, as long as people are spending money on my brands, that's all that matters.
I don't think anybody's going to spend any money on it at this point. Like who?
Of course.
Who?
Anybody that likes his stuff.
That likes a black boy being in a White Lives Matter shirt.
They don't care about that.
Who doesn't? Man, I put like, okay, well, let me say
they don't care.
If anybody black spends any money that has that clown's name on it, or that's going to benefit in any way, you're anti-black. Like,
I can hear a case for that.
I mean, I get it. Okay. Slavery was a choice. Okay. Yeah, maybe he tripping. Something wrong with it. Put him in there. But now you've gotten to a point where it's like one stupid thing after the next. Like, bro, that's just who you are. And you don't have $1 billion because of white folk. You're a billionaire because of black folk.
Yeah. No, 100%.
So how dare you bite the hand that feeds you? Even, let's just say for kicks and giggles, I don't believe, well, let's just say for kicks and giggles, he thoroughly believes this in his heart of hearts. You know how silly you got to be to put on that, what are you doing?
Well, again, so look at who was with him. Look at the company that he kept. Okay, so you got Candace Owens, a conservative,
stupid,
a conservative, pundit, talking head, whatever you want to call it.
And Candace Owens is another one, because you can have whatever political view you want. I don't care. But when your politics leaks over into when it leaks over into anti-black, and I'm saying anti-black, if there is pro-white, there's anti-black.
Correct.
Candace Owens, which the last time...
But do you think pro-white is anti-black?
I think anti-black is a step beyond pro-white.
Because I
know some pro-white folk that didn't say George Floyd deserved what the police gave him that day, but Candace Owens did.
Correct. Now that I don't agree with as far as Candace Owens.
Candace Owens is, and I hate that she's even made it, because, and again, you can have whatever political view you want. I know some black Republicans and we get along decent. But when your political views step over into a cultural hate, and that's what it is. And again, for me, it just hits different when these are black faces. That and maybe somebody put that boy up to it. That but they're still, at what cost though, man? To have the people that got you there now to hate you, and then there's so many other forms or platforms. Okay, a self-made billionaire from Chicago, who's both his mother and his father were Black Panthers. You could use your platform for many other different things. I mean, use your platform to get clean water and Flint. I mean, just, you can use your platform for anything. Why? White Lives Matter. And then, not just the close, but the commentary. This clown said, everyone knows that Black Lives Matter was a scam. And pushing beyond, and I know where you finna go, and I'm going to jump over this table.
I'm going to need you to get ready. Okay? And I'm going to need you to get ready for the emails. And like you say,
email him
that my circle is a dot. It's about to get a little smaller, but go ahead.
Not just organization, but the idea. Even the organization, I don't believe it. None of it was a scam. Again, the premise of Black Lives Matter happened on police brutality. Who would say it doesn't exist?
I make a very stark contrast between the idea of Black Lives Matter and the organization.
The organization
Black Lives Matter I have no love for, in the sense of its founding principles. There's no, I don't have any appreciation for it at all. I mean, it just, and how they've conducted business. Furthermore, you know, to say that we want to accept donations in order to further the case and cause of Black people, and then for the founders to use that money to go buy property so they can live next to rich white people, is deplorable.
And I'm not going to say all of the actions were, you know, above, but it's funny to me how, as a culture in America, we'll say, like that, you're saying that's deplorable. A couple of years ago, everybody was giving to, matter of fact, you know, at work, most of us that, you know, you got a job, they were saying, hey, do you want to give, what's the organization that was taking money for everybody? And they were supposed to be funding the money to give it out. I don't know, Blue Cross Blue Shield or American.
That's interesting. American Red Cross?
American Red Cross.
Mm-hmm.
And you know the CEO got jammed in for buying personal property.
Mm-hmm.
It happens.
No, I get that it happens, but it doesn't. But it's a difference between it happening immediately and always. There's always gonna be bad actors in any organization, because there's just a certain amount of bad people. There's a certain amount of people that do selfish things. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
In this particular case, it's the foundation, the founders of,
but it happens.
And they're not, and they don't do anything.
See, okay, so here's my frustration.
They have American Red Cross. We can look at a bunch of stuff that they have done that has benefited. What has Black Lives Matter's done?
They did a lot in a little span of time.
No, define. Give me a specific initiative that they've done to improve the lives of Black people anywhere. Name one thing.
Okay, so now you're comparing white people and untied hands to Black Lives Matter and tied hands.
How are their hands tied? They had $800 million.
Black.
What does that have to do with
these? What initiative?
What does that have? What are they spending their money on? They're taking it. Okay, so you're taking the donations. Great. Okay, so now you organize.
Okay.
Step 1 is organize. Step 2 is mobilize.
Right. They didn't mobilize?
They mobilize people. Where's the money going to make things better for Black people in America?
How much money was misappropriated?
Let's find out.
Find out. Because I'm finna tell you, Brett Favre did that by himself.
Yeah, but that's just saying, they're both just as evil as each other.
I'm just saying it happens.
It's not a great. I wouldn't pursue that argument.
I'm just saying it happens. And how does the premise of a movement land at the feet of the actions of a couple people?
Because it's not, again, the organization Black Lives Matter. You can't donate to the idea of Black Lives Matter. The organization, if you write a check, the people that cash it, that run Black Lives Matter, what have they done with the money?
Okay. You give to the United Negro College Fund?
I would. Sure. Why not?
What do they do with the money?
They put Black kids through school. What are you talking about?
They send you pictures and receipts of what they like. It happens. Any organization, it happens. I'm not giving right to it, but we're going to burn down a whole house.
Black Lives Matter activists accuse executive of stealing $10 million in
$10 million.
Funds.
Brett Favre by himself did 24.
I get that. And he is going to have to give it back. He's just not paying any interest. I'm not saying it's better, but what I'm saying is that we already have the NAACP. We have the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People.
See, so here's what happens in our cultures.
So why is it that nobody gave to NAACP? Because what it comes down to is that Black Lives Matter was a fad.
Because NAACP, please stop mobilizing. If you wanted something done, you didn't go to NAACP.
I get it, but Black Lives Matter has the money and they're not doing anything with it either.
They at least did the next step, organize, mobilize.
Yeah, but they only mobilized people. They only mobilized stuff that was free. They didn't influence politics.
Okay, so
there's no new laws.
So because there was some misappropriation.
All misappropriation. They've done nothing but misappropriate, because you can't tell me one thing that they spent money on one candidate that they pushed, one law that they got into effect, anything. Where are they at right now getting, black people registered to vote? And
they have.
Where? I don't see it.
Because you don't see it. It doesn't it didn't happen.
I'm just saying. I can only go by
that's
what I observe and what's reported in the news.
That's what we do as a culture.
So
we're not going to do anything, but then we'll point at the people that do.
But what I'm saying is that Black Lives Matter, they should have some list of accomplishments. They have a button on their website that says register to vote. But if I go to About, it doesn't tell me what they've done. It just tells me what the collection of the founders, what they believe.
So you don't believe that Black Lives Matter has done anything?
What I'm asking you, tell me, because I can't even find it on their own website. I'm on blacklivesmatter.com right now. They have these following tabs: news, about, shop. So you can go buy Black Lives Matter t-shirt. You can buy the Black Lives Matter shoes. Let's see what else they got.
Okay. I think that's just your way of being critical. Because, you can go to my church website and you won't see how many people we fed. That doesn't mean we didn't feed anybody.
I get that. But
that's just...
But like, say, for instance, we do food distribution with the Houston Food Bank. It's something that we...
Is it on the website?
We're redesigning the website. That's a whole other deal. But it's announced, and everyone in the community knows that that's what we do the first Saturday every month. It's widespread known. Does that make sense? That's why people come every Saturday, and we serve the community. But tell me the last time that the Houston chapter of Black Lives Matter did anything that affected you and your family.
Me and my family, no. But if I had a need,
when was the last time? When was the last time that you interacted with Black Lives Matter as an organization?
Okay. So let's just say you know a kid that's killed by the police.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna call BLM. You're gonna call NAACP.
I don't need to call either one of them because they don't have anything to do with it.
If you want someone to speak up, get the word out.
I definitely wouldn't call Black Lives Matter because they don't believe what I believe.
See, that's the basis of this.
Well, that is the basis. That's the whole point. Is the foundation.
So, what do they believe that you don't believe?
Okay, let's go back. About us.
See, here's how you, and they've been doing this since the beginning of time. Divide and conquer. But go ahead.
But what I'm saying is that it's very simple. They don't believe what we believe. And
who's we? Now, wait a minute. Who's we? But
Bible believers.
So now we're going to Black Lives Matter for theological doctrinal.
I'm not going to it for that, but they promote something that I don't promote.
What does that have to do with anything?
It has everything to do with it.
Okay.
It has everything to do with everything.
Okay.
Because
you're a business guy.
Yeah.
So say I'm finna make a deal,
mm-hmm.
With you. But I don't believe what you believe.
Mm-hmm.
Does that stop you from?
Well, it's different because that's a transaction. It's not a relationship.
This
transaction is here's a product, here's a price, make the purchase, and after that there is nothing further that goes on unless it's a continual relationship.
So BLM is a relationship?
Any organization that is going to try to actually affect change is going to have to build a relationship with communities and execute on whatever level they want to affect. Does that make sense? So if you want to, it is, but they don't do that. You see what I'm saying? They're not doing that. What I'm saying is that it would be nice if they did, because what are they doing on a local level to affect holding politicians accountable to do things that benefit their constituency? Does that make sense?
Hey, look, this has been the same playbook that has been used since the beginning of time. The reason why in MLK's days,
mm-hmm.
he wasn't able to do as much as he possibly would have is because there was always feuding between organizations on nothing.
But they're doing nothing.
SNCC didn't like
yeah.
like there were always Okay, they don't believe everything I believe. So what? If they're doing something to help and promote, like
they're not. That's the problem. They're not. If you told me, hey, Sean, so BLM is out here holding politicians accountable, okay, staking politicians that are going to deliver for the Black community, that they are putting together scholarships for Black children to be able to go to college, university, HBCU, PWI, whatever the case may be. Does that make sense? Now we're doing something as opposed to just saying something.
Okay.
Because
so how do they do it as long as this stays in the air? Because who do you think is more active, BLM or NAACP?
Active in terms of what?
All the stuff you just mentioned.
I know the NAACP has a scholarship at least. BLM doesn't.
See that? But again, it's so nothing. We can't make any moves as a culture because of this. And that's why I hate the activity over that boy from Chicago or Candace Owens, is because that stuff hits harder because there's always this stuff looming that keeps those people, even those of us that want to be active, that want to help move the needle, we never get a chance to because of this divide and conquer. It's been since the beginning of time. And I know what it is. Yeah, they don't believe what I believe, so I'm not going to help, assist in any kind of way. And that's what, and our culture gets stuck without scoring. We get stuck in a certain place because there's always this looming.
So what you're saying is that because intent is always prior to content. We talked about that last week, I think. Mm-hmm. Intent's already prior to content. So you don't think that their beliefs influence their behavior?
Okay, so what beliefs particular are you talking about?
Okay, so number one, the founders of Black Lives Matter, they support an alternative lifestyle.
Ding, 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 ding. I knew that's where you were trying to go.
Of course. I mean, that's one thing. That's just one thing. You see what I'm saying?
Okay. Please give more.
That's just one thing. So I'm just going to read it straight from here.
Okay.
Okay. So, Okay.
And before you go on, let me remind you, every organization in this generation does.
What do you mean?
Almost every organization in this generation, if it's not at the top of their list, it's somewhere on their list where they promote alternative lifestyle, same gender loving, whatever. That's just where we are.
Yeah. I mean, it's Corinth. I mean, I get all that. But what I'm saying is that why would I support an organization that was founded, okay, by people that, number one, don't believe what I believe. That's just one thing, one level. Number two, they say primarily, and I can't even say that they do secondarily, almost everything of what's on their website and news is their statement about something. Who cares what you say? What are you doing?
Oh, okay.
What are you doing in the community? And the thing is, that's why there's so much money for them to slosh around in their personal piggy bank, is because they don't spend money doing anything. And that's a whole separate problem that I have as far as Black Lives Matters. So number one, I got a problem, in terms of we are not aligned in terms of our beliefs. Then number two, we're not aligned in terms of our behaviors, because you're taking donation money, buying real estate, and putting it in your personal name to live around the people that you say are your oppressors.
Okay. So
one of the founders of BLM went to one of the most affluent neighborhoods, country club, all this different stuff, to go buy property there for her own personal use and then throw her kid a birthday party.
Hey, should they address misappropriation? Yes, they should there, and they should anywhere else, because it's wrong. So don't slap Brett Favre on the back of the hand and then pursue something else.
I didn't.
If it's wrong, it's wrong.
Correct. I'm not disputing anything as far as
everyone doesn't look. As long as we agree on Black Lives Matter, and as long as there's a pursuit for equality and not for our sons and daughters to be killed in the street because they're Black, as long as there's some, then I don't care what else you think about whatever.
But you can't name one thing that they've done. One thing that they've done.
I'm sure if we research, I don't want to say it and then it not be true.
I get it. You don't have to answer right now.
We can research it. I'm sure they were the first ones on the ground when the boy got choked out in New York. They were the first ones on the ground in Ferguson. They were the first ones on the ground when George Floyd got But
that's like the Ricky Bobby defense. If you're not first, you're last. So just because they were first in, they were also first out. Because they didn't stay to do anything about it. So you're there for the publicity, you're there for the cameras, but you're not there for the follow-through.
So who paid for the funeral of George Floyd?
What difference does that make who paid for the funeral of George Floyd?
You asked where the money go.
But that doesn't, he's dead. What difference does it make who paid for the funeral?
See, this is the system, right? This is the system.
No, this is not the system.
No, this is what they do. And they've ingrained our minds to think this way. So in one breath, they're not doing anything. With the next breath, they're not doing what I want them to do or what they should be doing.
No, but what I'm saying, they can do whatever they want to do, but that doesn't mean I have to align with it. They can do whatever they want to do. They can misappropriate funds and they can lie to donors and they can do all this different stuff and show up when it's convenient because the camera is on. But where are you at when it's time to do the day-to-day boring work of advancing policies and changing laws, setting up things that will provide opportunities to the living?
Okay, so you want them to advance policy.
Well, here's the deal. I'm just looking at what they say they want to do.
We have politicians that can't do that. That's what I'm saying.
The point is you got to hold these Black and white politicians accountable.
We're setting the standard high for an organization.
Right. So what are they supposed to do? So you're saying they're an organization of philosophers?
No.
Social club?
No. They're going to be part and push, but just because it's not done doesn't mean. But look at what they say.
Okay, so it's like, look, we're a collective of liberators. Who they liberated? Who they get out of jail? Who believe in an inclusive and spacious movement. I'm just looking at their own words. I mean, you tell me, stop me. This is their own words. We also believe that in order to win, bring as many people along with us along the way, we must move beyond the narrow nationalism that is all too prevalent in Black communities. I'll give them that. But what are they doing to change it? We must ensure we are building a movement that brings all of us to the front. So other than the idea and a hashtag, what movement have they made from A to B, other than a hashtag, other than a t-shirt, other than a hoodie? Because the only thing I ever hear about people that support Black Lives Matter is they're keyboard warriors. They're social justice keyboard warriors that are big behind the keyboard, but nothing in the streets. Okay,
so what are you suggesting should be done about a Black Lives Matter type organization?
So, I mean, I think it would be good.
Because you do realize, as Black folk, you're not going to get access to most of the tables, right?
Why not? You know why? Because we don't even knock on the door. This is a problem in the Black community where we accept the promise, but we never follow through to see the promise made be kept. And we keep living on the promise. We reelect the same people to go and do the same thing and then complain about why we don't have different results. It's very simple. If a politician doesn't deliver on the campaign promise, then the next cycle you primary them out and you put someone in that will do what is in your interest. But what happens is that there's a fear campaign. Oh, well, you know my name at least. I'm the devil, So you might as well keep dealing with me.
When your
keep
keep
sending me.
I mean, because
as your representative. But what have you done? The great philosopher Janet Jackson What have you done for me lately?
And listen, when your choice is a Democrat that you know, or a Republican that you know, I mean, our culture, what are you going to choose?
Well, here's my deal. It doesn't matter if you go, red or blue. Does that make sense? The point is, which one of them is going to advance policies, that's going to propose new laws, that's going to benefit you and your family?
And by and large, a lot of that hasn't happened because it can't happen.
It can if we put pressure, because it happens for other groups. Other groups get stuff done. Other groups get checks.
Are you seeing where this is going? Why other groups get it?
Because they demand it.
Because they're other groups.
Okay, but I'm talking about minorities.
Like
the Asian community, the Latino community.
Latino gets what? Black and brown communities are crushed in this culture. All black and brown communities, all of them.
You realize the wealth is going up for black and brown.
The wealth is going up from what?
It's going up.
That's what I'm saying. Okay.
You got to start somewhere.
So now we're going to take you up. Now you're not very poor. You're just poor.
Well, you got to start somewhere, buddy. I didn't say it was right, but it's what it is. We can't go back, as Martin Luther King talked about, in terms of, the Irish potato farmer got land, got tools, got training, got everything. He had a head start.
And that's what it is.
No, I get it. But at what point are we going to say, hey, you know what? I get it. They had a head start, but there's nothing we can do about that now. I need to start now and move forward instead of staying stuck in wouldn't it be nice mentality, looking back at something that's never going to change instead of moving forward and bringing ourselves into a brighter future.
Hey, look, I don't have anything against BLM. I think there needs to be a radical organization that and I don't have anything against NAACP. I mean, matter of fact, NAACP, the Houston chapter, Bishop Dixon, and I like what they're doing. I like, but they're not as radical because of rules and structure as BLM. I don't have anything against BLM. I think it tears down at the fabric of movement, period, when our culture starts nitpicking, organizations that will create movement and change. I mean, I get it. I already know that they believe in, this and that and same, but again, they're not.
And they have dumbed this down. They have that from the original. From the original, they've watered this way down
because there are a whole bunch of black folk that were doing this, that were doing what you did, pulling up their website.
Yeah, and they're like, "Whoa, this is terrible." But this isn't nitpicking. Nitpicking is like, "Hey, you got a little lint on that shirt."
That's not nitpicking.
That's not nitpicking. I'm reading their own words, and they're not living up to their own words.
Okay, because there was an issue. I don't think is.
It's not one issue.
A couple issues.
Well, it's a couple founders. I mean, it's 100%. That's a batting 1,000 in baseball terms. So everybody's terrible. I mean, it's.
And then they believe is what they believe.
But even I said that I get that, and that's I'm going there too. But the thing is that number one, on the level of belief, we have a problem. Or I personally take exception to some of the things that they espouse that I feel like for the core of the mission doesn't need to enter in, but they put it in there for a reason because they want certain outcomes. Does that make sense?
I don't think that's why, but okay.
100%.
I mean,
they want certain outcomes
because if we're gonna create movement and change,
mm-hmm.
they want, the entire community included. Which includes,
I don't think that's what it is. I think
alphabet.
Personally, I feel like it's a veiled attempt, to use race in order to advance, the alternative lifestyle piece.
So you think race is just a throw in?
For them, what I'm saying is that because I see what their ultimate outcomes is, because you tell me more about everything else than black. The word black is only in the four. They have 4 main points.
Right.
In the 4 main points, 1, 2. So it occurs 1 time in the first paragraph, 3 times in the second paragraph, 1 time in the third, and none in the fourth. And this is their main points. Okay. But more than that, they refer to non-black categories. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So it should not be equal or more something else when in the title is Black Lives Matters. Black Lives Matter.
And you don't think that's nitpicking?
What I'm saying is the other part, I'm just explaining. I'm just explaining.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? That's an observation. It's just an observation that, hey, look, you're about a lot else that Black Lives Matter. But your lightning rod is black. That's what creates the income. But look at where the out go. It goes into these other things. I feel like that's the lightning rod. You can use white guilt. You can use all kinds of different things in order to gain these donations. But ultimately, you have this other agenda to support that. So the Alphabet Mafia hijacks black civil rights all the time.
So why is that surprising though?
It's not surprising. I'm not surprised.
That's the culture that we live. That's the culture that we live in.
Right. So it doesn't make it right. That's just saying that's what is.
So you're basically, because here's what black people do. Here's our issue.
Mm-hmm.
There's a car that's moving,
mm-hmm.
but it's not the year, make, and model I want, the color I want, whatever. So I'm not going to get it in or help.
Well, no, this is a different.
That's what it is.
No, because all that's cosmetic. You see what I'm saying? What I'm saying is that they're going in the wrong direction. So it doesn't matter what the year, make, and model is. Does that mean it doesn't matter if it doesn't matter if it's
in the wrong direction?
It doesn't matter if it's a Buick or a Bentley, because here's the deal: we've mentioned NAACP, we mentioned BLM. The organization that has the greatest ability to affect change in the country, we haven't even mentioned.
Which is what?
The church.
Which is still. It's the car that's not moving.
I get that. I didn't say it was right. I just say what it is. So
that's what I'm saying.
We'd be better off not dealing with Black Lives Matter.
But see, that's it.
Creating coalitions. Here's the problem: is everybody wants to be a chief, nobody wants to be Indian.
Well, that's the issue in our culture, and I feel like that's the greatest issue.
Right.
The church ain't gonna do nothing.
Everybody wants to be a chief, nobody wants to be an Indian.
The church ain't gonna do nothing, but it's going to point out the missteps and the mishaps of anybody else that wants to do anything.
But here's the deal. If they had something admirable, I would say, hey, you know what? I don't agree with their founding principles or beliefs, but hey, I applaud
if they had some
action.
If they had some admirable, you point out something else. Because that's what people do.
No, because I'm objective. That's the difference. Is that some people are just like, okay, well, I don't like them, and that's it. I can separate the organization and the idea. I can separate the staffers and the executives. Does that make sense? So if you had the organization that did organize and mobilize and say, okay, we set up this political action committee, and we got this person that's going to support the initiatives that are going to benefit Black people elected in this state, in this county, whatever. Hey, golf clap. Great job. You did it. Congratulations. But there's not.
You're saying, okay, we're going to move because we're going to lose time. But you do know BLM pushed a lot for this last voting cycle, right?
Well, if they're so effective, then how come Stacey Abrams isn't elected? How come your boy in Florida isn't elected?
Okay, Stacey Abrams.
And we got 54% Black voter. Where?
In Georgia.
She's not in office.
She's not in office. That doesn't mean she wasn't elected.
Okay, so how do you figure she's elected? She didn't win.
By whose count?
By the count, she don't have an office.
Hey, and that's why.
And she's not in the government. But I'm not saying this. I'm not saying this.
Unless you have the benefit of some electoral college, you don't just have to beat them. You got to beat them
clean. You got to beat them clean, and you've got to realize. And I'm not saying it's right, but you can't just get edged out. And you know why? Voter turnout.
More people voted in 2020 than ever in history.
They had.
You don't think BLM had anything to do with that?
Gillum. It was a Gillum. Andrew.
Okay. Yeah.
54% voter turnout in a gubernatorial race. Black people. 54% of the eligible voting population. Because it's so. Here's the deal. If you have any race, any political race, okay, and you have, let's say, 100,000 eligible voters in a given area, okay, and last year you had 40,000. That was the most that ever happened. And the next year you have 41,000. Guess what you get to say, and it's not a lie. Record-breaking turnout. Just a little more, but it's a record-breaking turnout. But we shouldn't be looking at, did more people vote? I mean, that's an important thing to look at. Did more people vote this time than last time? But more importantly is, what is the percentage of eligible voter participation? That's the number we need to pay attention to. Because just like you were saying, from what? Whenever I reference, income, and then there's like, from what? So it's like, hey, if you're at a 30%, and you go to 35%, from what? So yes, is it more than last time? Yes. The problem is that why are we struggling? We can't get into, like the opposition is, into the low 70s in terms of eligible voter participation, and that is why they win.
Okay, we're gonna move, but I'm gonna say this: when Georgia flipped the Senate, Stacey Abrams won the governor,
but she didn't win.
But she did though.
But she's not the governor.
She's not the governor. I agree, but that don't mean she didn't win.
But what I'm saying is that
otherwise, they wouldn't have two.
I'm not aware of an electoral college for a state.
No, that's what I'm saying.
So how did she win, but she lost?
No, I believe.
Help me understand how she won.
Because
what did the votes say? How many votes did she get?
Okay, do you know who was running? Who could and couldn't vote in Georgia?
The same guy that told Trump to go pound sand? Wasn't that the same guy?
No, I'm talking about prior to. It was the governor. He's the governor now. He was the governor. Well, not the governor then.
Well, then he was like some secretary or something like that. I get it. I didn't say it was even playing field.
Here's all I'm saying. If she would have lost in votes, they wouldn't have two Democratic senators.
But that kind of betrays its own point, because you're saying that on the one hand, it was a fair election.
And the only election because they won himself governor.
So we had a free and fair election for everything on the ticket except for the gubernatorial race.
He's the governor.
I mean, that's pretty far. That's a pretty far limb to go out on.
This time, she'll not only beat him, I believe she's gonna beat the brakes off of him.
Well, we'll see. And we can talk about this next time. That may or may, I know it's going to sound, that may or may not be a good thing for black folks.
Her being the governor of Georgia?
Mm-hmm.
Why?
I know, but we don't have time to even go into it now.
Okay.
Especially black men.
Okay.
Especially black men.
So you're going to take this and spin to gender?
I'm not spinning it.
It'll be good for black folk.
There's a bunch of people, and like we can talk about this next time. Okay. When's the race? We got another month.
November 8th.
So 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
But I'll share with you. Hey. I'll share with you some of the frustrations.
I think it'll be great.
It could be. I'm not saying it's not. What I'm saying is, I'm just raising the question that, hey, based on her platform, and that's the thing. We don't read platforms. We just look at personalities. a lot these days. And I think it's probably always been that way in terms of politicians.
So you don't like her platform?
What I'm saying is there's people that have problems with her platform. There's some specific things that she says that are supposed to be benefits as far as business for Black men, but it's not tailored for them. She promised it to them, but it's
more for Black women.
Well, and minority. Just it's not specifically. It's not as billed. Not as advertised. It's like on the big letters. It's, hey, this is a Black men's initiative, because she was getting criticized that she wasn't doing anything for Black men. Does that make sense? And then she put together this deal.
You see what I'm saying?
Well, I'm just telling you.
Oh, you see what I'm saying?
I see what you're saying, but what?
Divide and conquer. It's always been the same. Hey, power 22 on 3.
But you don't think that Black men in Georgia, do you think she's going to win without Black men?
She's building steam. She's building steam. She hit the ground, grassroots effort. She's building steam. What would detract that? So now you get...
What do you mean, what would detract that?
In order for her to lose, she'd have to lose on something that happens in our culture. What better way to foil her complete campaign?
But this is internal.
Black men.
This is internal. This has nothing to do.
Okay,
this is not even
internal.
Opposition.
Okay,
it's not even opposition. People are just there. There has been people that are saying that they're upset.
Where do you think those people come from?
Well, these are Black men.
Where do you think they come from?
What do you mean? Where do I think they come from?
Some Black man is on some white man's payroll to create this. I'm telling you, it's a divide and conquer. It's always been like.
So it's gonna have to be a lot.
Hey, listen.
It's gonna be a lot of
when Martin Luther King went to Memphis to fight for the garbage collectors, and they started fighting. You know who was fighting, right?
No.
Black people who had been paid by white people. It's always been the same. Divide and conquer. You want to get us falling out?
You know what?
Make us fall out with each other.
You know what would have been really simple if she put together a package that was what she said it was. Then no one would have a leg to stand on. So obviously there's something that people are upset about. That's all I'm saying. Is there something that people are upset about? I don't even know who are, well, I guess she's running against the same incumbent.
Let me say this, and this will be my last time in life I ever say this clown's name. Kanye West, Candace Owens, Herschel Walker are all examples of the greatest enemy is enemy. That, in order for Black people not to get to where we could, let's have some Black person create this fog. And that starts it. Then the next thing you know, instead of us getting ahead, there's these inroads of infights between the culture, and we'll never be able to unify and go forward as long as these kind of clowns exist.
Well, and that's why I originally talked about with BLM holding politicians accountable and putting the right politicians in place, because like you brought up Herschel Walker, that's not the horse you want to stake.
No, absolutely.
But yet that's who they're running, and that's the opposition.
So why?
So I don't.
So okay.
I couldn't tell you.
So wait. No,
I couldn't tell you.
I'm gonna make you tell me.
Okay.
I'm gonna help you.
I couldn't tell you because
we're gonna play like this Sunday morning. I'm gonna help you get your shot out today. If you're the GOP, why do you use Herschel Walker?
But they're not using him. Why would they lose a seat intentionally?
Man, listen.
You see what I'm saying?
If we can make them look bad.
Oh, buddy, I mean, this has nothing to do. You don't have to make him look bad.
I'm telling you. So it's that dividing. Other than that, they wouldn't push. No one would push with a.
But that's something.
No Herschel Walker.
But that they really must have not had anybody.
Man,
else.
bro, look,
this is insane.
It's insane. But look at the Okay, the last Republican president did not have any kind of conservative values.
Yeah.
So it's not like this is far-fetched. From
yeah, but intentionally losing a seat. It'd be one thing if they had him in the primary and they just embarrassed him. Then I'd be like, okay, this is kind of like a little false flag operation. They just put this guy up, but they didn't risk anything. Why would they risk a Senate seat
do you
to just to make him look like a buffoon?
So you think he will not win?
I don't think this guy's going to win.
It's going to shock you when he does.
Hey, and stranger things than have happened. You know,
because there are some out there that are just because he black, and he represents supposedly conservative values. Now, why are you using Herschel Walker to represent conservative values when he got cheering?
Well, I think here's what it really came down to is you just look at his opponent, Senator Raphael Warnock. They had to run a black guy against him.
That's what I'm telling you. Divide and conquer.
But then also it goes to my point is that like they really are scraping the bottom of the barrel. They couldn't find anybody to run against this guy that was black and conservative.
Herschel has name.
He has notoriety. Yes, he does. Which is a big help in political races.
And he's known greatly throughout the state of Georgia. Most of it is for football prowess.
Well, of course.
But he's known greatly.
But hey, you didn't know that he went to Quantico and he was an FBI agent and he was a law enforcement and he was all this different stuff, but nobody has any record of it. But that's a different story. Did you hear about this? Yes.
That's what I'm saying. But the fact that their only competition for Pastor Warnock, who's a great preacher, who has a couple books out too.
Passed by my wife and I were in Atlanta. We passed by the church.
Yeah. Great. The only competition for him had to be a black man.
No, they had to. Or a black woman. But they had to be black. There's no way. It just wasn't going to happen.
Divide and conquer. It's the look.
Yeah, but I don't think. Do you think that really black people? Man, they have Warnock to vote for. So why would they be like, well, I want to vote for somebody black? And so, because I know there are some people that's like, hey, I'm for black folk. Period. Regardless of merit, I'm for black folk.
Hey,
you know.
And I'm more aligned with conservative thoughts. So we're going to give you an option.
Yeah, but I mean, you got to look at this guy and be
he has GOP vote, period.
Oh, yeah. If you're, because you'll do it just because of party affiliation.
And he's going to split. And not even
I don't think he'll split the
but he's going to win some black consideration because he's black. On the outside. On the outside.
But I don't even think there's really, I don't think there's a lot of black independent voters. Usually it's one or the other. They have a camp. But what I'm saying is most black people, I feel like, have a camp.
Right.
They are Democrat. They lean conservative and they vote Republican, or they lean liberal and they vote Democrat, and they are who they are, and they're pretty,
Hey, their choices are better.
Because most of the time, the independent voter, if you just think in your mind, like whenever you think of town halls and whatever, like the presidential, whenever they bring in the independent voter that has a question, what do they look like?
Yeah. Yeah. A middle age.
Yeah. Ohio.
Swing.
Not opinionated.
Right.
Kind of bland.
Love everybody, but I'm more. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
That person.
Hey, look. They have a better chance with him. And I think that's why it's not, he was strategically placed.
Now that I agree with. He was strategically placed.
A lot of thought.
But my deal is that they really had to reach down to the bottom of the barrel because, I mean, and maybe it was just because they couldn't find somebody with the same level of notoriety and that was the play, maybe that was it. But man, I mean, it just seems like you're really putting yourself at risk.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that this wasn't their first idea. This is not a first draft type situation. They were like, dang, I mean, we can't get, it's kind of like head of state. Did you call everybody? Right. Well, did you call Hammer?
Right.
Well, you didn't call everybody. Right.
Right. He may not have been choice one, but for what they're trying to do, he's not a horrible choice for what they're trying to do. And I don't think this has anything to do.
And here's the deal. They may not even really expect to win that seat because it's not likely that I don't think that he's going to win.
they don't have it. They don't have the seat right now.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So worst case scenario, we still are where we were.
Hey, look, if you got 7 seconds on the clock and you're on the 20-yard line, you're on 20, you don't have a choice. It has to be Hail Mary.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So they are playing aggressive.
Right.
This is for what they're trying to do. This is their play. You got to remember, man, they're not trying to. It's not about, they're already up. It's not about getting up. It's about
staying up,
keeping us down. And that's what it is. That's what it's going to be. And again, that's why I get so frustrated. And maybe that's, y'all pray for me. Maybe I need a drink or something.
We'll pray for you.
Because that's why I hate.
You need the Spirit.
Yeah. And not the Holy One. That's why I despise hatred of our culture that comes from our culture.
Yeah.
Because you don't realize.
And that's basically been the theme of today's episode is black on black crime, for lack of a better term. You know.
That's what it is. So, hey, anybody that listens to halfway, like me, do me a favor. Anything that's going to enrich that boy from Chicago, don't spend your money on it. Anything that's going to better push her name, Candace Owens, don't be a part of it. And definitely don't support or aid Herschel Walker. As a matter of fact, do what his son doing. Leave him alone. Don't mention his name no more. That, because again,
the son thing, man, it's like some of the things that, I mean, politics is chess, not checkers. Normally there's a sit down, an opposition report, but also in business, there's and I'm pretty sure they have a version of this in politics, but I'll give you the business version. There's something called SWOT analysis, SWOT, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. You use this to analyze a business. What are our strengths? What do we do well? What are our weaknesses? Where are we vulnerable? What are our opportunities? How can we grow? And what are the threats that can diminish us or completely take us out of business? When you do a SWOT analysis or whatever the political version, there's got to be a sit-down conversation between, somebody that's in the Republican National Convention and be like, look, here's our strengths, which we outlined: notoriety, he
black.
Cultural connection, for whatever term we want to use, blah, blah, blah. Opportunities. Hey, the opportunity is to go ahead and win this seat. Weaknesses, no experience. But then we don't
expect you to do that no way. So that's not a weakness. So, okay.
But there has to be a sit down conversation. Threats. I need to know everything. It's like a conversation with your lawyer. Mm-hmm. I need to know everything. I need to know where all the bodies are buried.
Right.
I need to know all the skeletons in a closet because we got to get out ahead of it.
Right.
And they easily could have gotten out ahead of a lot of this stuff.
Right.
And he had to know. Hey. We're talking about whole humans.
Hey, and I think he thought he was. I think they thought they were, because even the son said in his last little blurt that whatever the arrangement was understood and everybody was on board until he started lying.
Yeah.
And he enraged his son by lying because it made that son that was talking, it made his mama look a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's like, no, whatever.
See, that's why he can't. He that's a guy you can't take off this teleprompter. You can't take this guy. It's like, hey,
and here's the sad thing:
remarks and sit down. You don't ad lib. You don't do nothing because you don't have the ability.
But here's the sad thing: as horrible as he is, he's going to live.
He'll live. But he's gonna live like OJ.
Doesn't win,
he's gonna live like OJ.
I mean, even if
he's still gonna be stamped for.
Hey, look, even if he doesn't win this, it's still going to be a race. It's going to be a solid race. Mm-hmm. He's trash, and he's going to give our culture's best a solid race. You hear how I say
but
it is?
No, I get that, but it's a machine against a machine as well. It's not just a person against a person when it comes to politics. It's never just an individual versus an individual. It's a machine versus a machine. You see what I'm saying? So you have the Republican national committee, you have the committee that represents Georgia, and all their resources to push their guy. Does that make sense? And same thing for the Democrat. Same thing for Raphael Warnock. He's not doing this by himself.
Oh, he's not. But he's
not doing this by himself.
This is easy. And
so it's two. I understand it's easy to just look at the two personalities, but you got to look at the two teams.
It is a machine, and
it's kind of like trial by champion. Like in ancient times, if you had evenly matched armies, it'd be like, look, and you kind of see this in the movie Troy with Brad Pitt and all that different stuff. It's like, hey, instead of us fighting it out and all these people dying, we'll just elect a champion, and the two champions will just go out in the field of battle and fight, and whoever wins, that country, that nation, that side wins.
You see how sad this is, right?
I mean, there's a lot of sad stuff about this.
Look at one champion versus the other champion. I agree.
No, I get it.
I agree. There's a machine in the presentation, but it's easier for me to present a steak with all the trimmings, and I don't know what you would consider Herschel Walker to be, goulash. I don't know, just a bowl of beans. I like beans too much to call them a bowl of beans. I don't like. That's what I'm just. There's a machine. But the presentation is like, he's trash. He's garbage. It's, I mean, I get it, but it's just all kinds of, of frustration. So
no, I get it.
So listen, real quick, Max, you.
Okay.
Draymond, should he be suspended, or are you good with just the fine?
Oh yeah, Draymond. So it depends on if you ask me. Are you asking me as a basketball fan? Or are you asking me as what would I do if I were in the position of leadership at Golden State Warriors? Yeah.
Would it really? Okay.
100%. If I'm the Golden State Warriors, if I'm in any leadership position, I'm never going to suspend Draymond Green unless like this dude is in the hospital.
Okay.
Why?
So as a fan, you would want him suspended?
No, I'm not saying. Well, I mean, obviously, if you're a fan of another team, you would want to see them lose a good player. If you're a fan of another team,
okay.
Does that make sense? You have an ulterior motive.
Okay.
Just as an observer, and I don't think you need to suspend him. I don't know what I don't like vagueness. So the report that I have in front of me.
You haven't seen the video?
No. That's the act. We're talking about aftermath.
Okay.
So now the act, he rocked that dude. I mean,
big time. Watch your mouth. Yeah.
I mean,
he knocked him in the next week.
But see, I liked Shannon Sharp's take on this, where he said, "Look, you never let anybody get in your airspace like that.
Mm-hmm.
Even though you're teammates, you can't let somebody run up on you like that."
He pushed him first. He pushed Draymond, and then Draymond I guess he thought he was going to push him back.
No, he just had a flashback.
Yeah, but he came back with a foul.
Yeah.
But you should have kept your hands to yourself.
Well, agreed. Agreed.
But in athletics, this happens.
Right. It does happen. I mean, and not in a physical sense, you don't really see that in the business world, but in terms of even, looking back in terms of sports, it's like, hey, I've had it out with teammates. It is what it is. You're in that mode. It's intense. So, I mean, I just felt like it was a cheap shot, and that's probably why they're finding him, because it's a cheap shot to you sucker punch the guy. He shoved you, and it's not like you shoved him back or shoved him back harder. You sucker punched this dude, and it's your teammate.
Sucker punch? He pushed you first.
The way he punched. Did you see the video?
Yeah.
You asked me. I'm asking you. Did you see the video?
Several times. I enjoyed it. You
enjoyed it.
It wasn't. I don't think it was.
Come on, man. Where's all this black unity coming from?
Hey, yeah, we can be unity after this. My grandmother used to tell me about family. Fighting. Teeth and tongue fall out. But they come back together again.
Right.
It happens.
No, I get
Michael Jordan slapped Steve Kerr. It happens.
But he was Michael Jordan. And he was Steve Kerr.
So that's why I feel like Draymond's being fined.
Well, no, I mean, and I don't.
You're the glue guy.
You're right. I don't disagree with it. What I don't like is that the amount of the fine was not disclosed, at least to my knowledge. So I would say, kind of like, what's the severity? It's hard to gauge that. Just to say he's been fined. You find a guy $20, 20,000.
What?
What'd you fine him? But I think that obviously they had to do something because it's almost like an HR issue. You can't not do anything. In this culture and climate. In the 80s, this would never have made it.
Never. I'm gonna tell you why they had to find him.
It's the current culture and climate context.
And they shouldn't have fined him. They had to find him because that tape got leaked. Find the clown that leaked that tape.
Yeah, but you can't. You can't put the toothpaste back in the tube.
Hey,
yeah, no, I'm sure. I'm sure there's
how hard he got hit.
I'm sure there's an unpublicized agenda to plug the leak. That's a whole separate thing.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? This is a off the books black operation. You see what I'm saying? Yeah, that's a whole separate thing. But no, you're absolutely correct. Because of the current culture, because you got to understand that we now have the participation trophy era athletes coming into professional sports. Soft. I think we talked about this 2 or 3 episodes ago, or maybe I just shared it with you. There was someone sent me a clip of the opening sequence to Monday Night Football in the 70s. And there was probably 9 or 10 different clips. Of the 10, 9 are now illegal. 9 are now illegal. Horse collar, face mask. None of this stuff was.
I grew up in the football generation. Of like my favorite players were like Ronnie Lott,
Hard Nose,
Steve Atwater. They were known for. Steve Atwater hit the running back for the Chiefs. No, they used to call him Nigerian Nightmare.
Okoye. And Christian Okoye.
Knocked him into retirement. It is, I mean, that was part of the game. And now seeing these last 2 roughing the passer calls, it's like,
bro, some is weak, bro. You might as well just put flags on them. I saw this. It was Monday night. Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, and I'm like, what do you want me to do? I mean, it was weak as water. But again, we're setting the platform this by doing stuff like this.
Right.
You're finding an athlete for being competitive. No, I want you to be competitive.
Right.
You're going to slap him. You're going to put it. Y'all going to fall out. We'll get it. We straight. Right. Family.
I mean, we can't change the games for people's genetics. If you're just not built for it, you're not built for it, bro. If you're injury prone, bro, you're injury prone.
Right.
And I'm not saying that there's certain things that shouldn't be done in terms of concussion protocols. I think that's all good things to make the game safer.
Right.
So these guys can actually live fulfilling lives afterwards. Right. But there's some things that, hey, look, man, you just can't take the sport out of sports.
Right. And that's what I think we're trying to do.
You can't neuter the game.
And that's
you can't sanitize it,
That's what we're trying to do.
But yeah, but as far as Draymond Green, one thing that's the backdrop to this is both of them are up for contract extensions.
Right.
So heightened tensions. They both are trying to make sure they don't fumble the bag.
I mean, and if they just play, both of them are going to get. A matter of fact, I got a shirt being made right now. It says "Free Draymond Green."
When was he incarcerated?
I'm just saying. I don't think he should have been fined, suspended, anything. It's athletics. It happens. But
I mean, here's if you put it, and again, I think business. At the end of the day, they're coworkers.
Yes.
So I mean, you can't have violence in the workplace.
I just said Michael Jordan slapped Steve Kerr.
I get that. In the 80s,
they won the championship.
In the early 90s,
they won the championship. It happens.
I get that. But
next, we're going to come up with boxers. Don't hit your sparring partner.
That's different.
It happens.
That's different. Look,
you don't think real fights ever broke out?
Of course.
It happens. It's sports. It happens.
Hey, I practiced martial arts for 9 years. I get it.
You can only spar so long. After a while,
if tempers flare, forget these pads. Forget forget all this stuff. And sometimes we forget technique.
It's knuckle up.
Because now it's not sparring. It's just a fight.
Knuckle up.
That's what it is.
Hey, Yeah, I wouldn't did anything. As a fan, because I'm seeing the bigger ramifications.
I'm just saying that they had to. They had to because of the current context and culture.
And you reference
you Doc.
Yeah,
I mean, ooh.
I said he had to say something about his mom or something. He hit him.
He did.
Yeah, I don't know. I hate to see anything. Greater happen.
But what I'm saying is that just the current context and culture, these are things that are gonna have to happen. But yeah, had there been no video evidence, had it never come to light, we never would have known about this.
Yeah,
never would have known about it. Yeah. But since it is known, now it's like, that's why it's an undisclosed fine. They fine this dude $100.
Yeah. I was looking, you know they played either last night or the night before, and I was looking at their interaction. I'm like, I bet you won't say nothing to him now.
Right. Exactly.
Watch your mouth. Keep your mouth closed.
Right.
I
do wonder what he said because I mean, and he's not wound too tight in the first place.
Yeah.
Which I mean, from a competitive standpoint, I like.
Yeah, I love.
I'm like, hey, I love.
Jordan Poole
playing with
his mouth.
What do you mean?
Dame Lillard did a video. A couple of the guys did videos about how Jordan Poole will just.
Oh, he just talk fly stuff.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, hey, then so if that's the case, then
you're gonna get hit a lot.
So
practice.
You bought it.
Practice.
You paid for it. Here's your receipt.
Here's your receipt. How you gonna talk in the game?
Yeah, here's your receipt.
We gonna practice your game, and then we gonna practice how you gonna take these punches. You keep running your mouth.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it just is what it is. Hey, listen, one quick thing, and we can go. It's Clergy Appreciation Month. Give me a top 2 or 3 had an impact on your life, on your ministry.
Absolutely. So, you already said, Pastor Michael C. Davis Sr.
Yeah.
My first pastor, the late great Michael C. Davis Sr. Yeah. My current pastor, Pastor Lee Skinner, Pastor Bryant Lee, the Higher Expectations Church, in Humble, very, influential and formative in terms of ministry for
Bryant
me.
Lee's a good mind too.
Yeah, and a lot from afar, a lot of guys from afar that have been models and mentors that, I just appreciate how they approach ministry or how they approach preaching. The Right Reverend France Brown, my preaching professor.
Hey, everybody. No preacher can stand in Houston and not say that France has impacted them in one way or the other.
He's, definitely formative. I took my very first class at the College of Biblical Studies, Bible study methods, with the Reverend France Brown. Yeah. I still remember the drills, that we'd be doing. So just very, very influential. So those would be, my first few to go ahead and announce in terms of Clergy Appreciation Month.
Yeah. The man knows name. Lee Skinner is the mayor of Northeast Houston. Always, kudos to Pastor Skinner. And then, haven't gotten an opportunity to really form connection with Pastor Lee, but great mind, even from a distance, But I, put their hands on me kind of help. Charles Allen Jr. Pastor Allen is, man, that's my guy. Great, has been a great help, aid, guide. Matter of fact, called him a couple weeks ago. Hey, I need to be in your ear. Go ahead. I always Ken Campbell, we had him on the show. Great preacher mind, kind of formed my preaching, great mentor model. My brother, who's, my father in ministry.
CE-Mo.
CE-Mo, who's now, helping, serving at the church, which is great.
Wow. Oh, amazing.
To have him, in my corner, in my ears, like, that's major, impactful.
Yeah.
So to every preacher, pastor, on a pause this month clergy appreciation, and just, you know, tip our hat to all of you guys, everybody in Northeast Houston that's preaching and pastoring, man. Stay on the wall, even when it gets rough, gets tough. Stay on the wall. My contemporaries, my brothers, Greg Collins, and you know, Charles Turner, you know, Derek Jones, Delwyn Benton, you know, Ed Durant, Michael Elmore. Those guys, man, y'all stay on the wall, man. This is a month isn't long enough for clergy appreciation, but since we got a month, I wanted to make sure that we get some love into to those guys to stay at the work. So, Sean, you got anything coming up you want to shout out other than this bruising you cruising for on a pool table?
Buddy, I'm ready. I am ready. Yeah. I'm ready to see what it's all about, buddy.
Okay. All right.
I'm ready to see what it's all about. And if you hadn't listened to the last episode, Reverend Brother Pastor Deacon Dr. Moten was, you know, talking about his great level of skill on the billiards table. And so I said, okay, I'm willing to find out. I'm willing to find out.
You're pitching it like that. I wasn't talking noise until he started talking. But
I just feel like you can't just drop something like that and just walk away. I'm like, you said that. And so I'm like, okay, I want to find out. Okay. I want to find out.
I'm gonna actually take some videos, some clips.
I was gonna say, we need to get somebody to record this.
And we put it down, so he won't have a chance to scoop back out of, you know.
I mean, if it is, it is.
Yeah.
I just said I want to find out.
Okay, definitely will. Definitely will. Man, again, you guys, thank you for joining us on another episode of the TBT Show. There's other guests and content to come, so make sure you keep your eyes and ears tuned. Share, like, subscribe, and encourage family and friends to do the same as we try to let truth be told. So again, thank you for joining us on this episode. Look forward to seeing you again in weeks to come. Watch over each other, take care of each other. All we have is each other. Until we see you again, grace and peace.